The issue is unavoidable contract. Whether or not the contract between Mahmud and Linda is not unavoidable because Linda accepted the offer and entered into a written contract. After 2 weeks, Linda discovered that the land is actually worth more than he offered.
According to the definition of free consent, it must be given voluntarily and without coercion, undue influence, fraud, deception, or error in order for the parties to agree on the same thing in the same sense. All agreements must be made with the free assent of persons who are legally able to do so, for a legal consideration, with a legal purpose, and without being expressly declared to be void. According to the section, when two or more people agree on the same item in the same sense, it is referred to as consent. Free consent is defined in Section 14 of the Contracts Act. When there is a pre-existing relationship between the parties, such as in fiduciary relationship, where one person is in a position to dominate the other, or if the other party is weaker, illiterate, less educated, or unwell, undue influence may develop. The next stage is when he takes use of his position to obtain something unfair from the other person, such cash or property. A contract is deemed to have been induced by undue influence under Section 16(1) of the Contracts Act, where the relationship between the parties are such that one party is in a position to determine the other's will and utilize that position to gain an unfair advantage over the other. A party claiming undue influence must provide proof. To claiming it undue influence, the other party must have the power to influence him, that power was employed, the exercise was improper, and that incorrect use results in the transaction.
For the proposal, it is when one person indicates to another his willingness to do or not do something in order to gain the approval of that other. 2A CA 9050 is the section for the proposal. Consider the purchase or sale proposal. It will generate a contract when accepted. Khalil versus Carbolic Small Ball Co. is the proposed case. The Carbolic Small Ball Company, the defendant advertised its product in a newspaper promising a €100 price to anyone who bought and used the product but still got the flu after carefully following the direction. The advertisement went on to say that the business has shown it honestly by depositing €1,000 into a bank account to serve as the price. Thus, Mr. Khalil, the claimant, bought several smoke balls. Despite using them properly, she ended up getting the flu and tried to sue the defendant for the €100 award. On the ground that the advertisement was mere puff and lacking true intent, that an offer could not be met to the word, that the claimant had not technically provided acceptance, that the wording of the advertisement was insufficiently precise, and that there was no consideration. As required by law, for the creation of a binding contract, the defendant argued that they could not be bound by the advertisement because it was an invitation to trade rather than an offer. For the acceptance, it must be communicated to the promisor. It must be absolute and unqualified. The section for the acceptance is S7B. The section explains that the acceptance must be made in the manner as prescribed by the offer. Example case, Jaginder Singh versus Tara Rajaratnam. In this case, the appellants, advocates and solicitors conspired to fraudulently obtain possession of the respondent's land in Kulai. The respondent agreed to transfer her land to the second appellant in exchange for $220,000 advance on her account. The funds were to be used to pay off a land charge as well as to pay the first appellant an amount owed by her brother-in-law, for whom the first appellant stood in surety. The second appellant executed a transfer of the aforementioned land to the third appellant for $220,000, but no consideration was actually passed. Following that, the land was transferred once more to a land development company almost entirely owned by the first appellant, and the land was eventually subdivided and sold to the public. The learned trial judge found all three appellants guilty of fraud, and the former federal court upheld his decision. That's all from me. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. My name is Ahmad Iqbal bin Ahmad Mujini. My number matric is S63074. Okay, I will talk about the application. Okay, there was a subsisting relationship between Linda and Mahmud because Mahmud was Linda's consultancy financial service. Linda is having financial problem after the death of her husband and has to cover a medical cost of her son. Thus, it will be easier for Mahmud to dominate or influence her decision. Mahmud had gained financial advantage when he purchased the land at a very low price, which is RM 300,000. The contract is unavoidable because Linda had accepted the offer from Mahmud and entered into a written contract to sell the land to Mahmud. Therefore, Linda may choose to invalidate the contract.
Mahmud has taken advantage on Linda, who has financial problems, by making an offer to buy a land at a price at 300k. However, Linda believed the agreement was unfair after learning that her land might have been sold for a higher values, so she wants to withdraw her agreement. According to Section 16, Undue Influence, Mahmud has used his position as a financial advisor to influence Linda, so the contract cannot be cancelled. Next, according to Section 2H Contract Act 1950, where the contract will be valid and legally binding agreement between two parties. Linda agreed to the offer made by Mahmud and made an agreement in writing. Therefore, this proves that the contract is unavoidable.